I'm Paul Wilkinson, and we're filming from my Kathmandu home, where I've been based for about 7 years, making documentaries about shamanism and about Nepali culture, about the symbolism in their ritual objects. And the shaman drum is often referred to as their horse or their vehicle. So today I wanted to give a little demonstration of representations of horses in some of their magical objects, in the ferbers, in their magical shrines. These are little bronzes from the Mugger people with horses. A stone statue made of crystal, also from far west Nepal, and other horse ferber and bronze masks. So when the shaman is going into trance, they have these repetitive rhythms. So usually played from this side, so the vibration's actually going through the body. This is a dengaroo with a ferber handle, and these are ferber. So ferber are like a mixture of a magic wand and a symbolic dagger. So they're used for pinning down energy, for destroying negative energy, for travelling with, for projecting the soul of the shaman and then travelling and journeying into other worlds, for seeking out information, so the shaman can psychically send the ferber to retrieve information. And quite often when I've been interviewing shaman, they're referring to their horse and travelling on their horse. And I later realised they were talking about their drums. They're talking about the repetitive rhythm going into trance, and they're riding their horse. So the drum, in a way, is like a sort of spiritual horse. And you can see you've got depictions of other animals, tigers and elephants and naga snake gods, and the kundalini and the double-ended knot and the vajra, and the gods on the drums. And then the drum surface itself is used as a sort of magical arena so you get these magical symbols. So a trident and a sun and a moon on both sides, and you have the skin of a female animal, a male animal as well. So this is a Mugger shaman bronze mask, and you can see a temple in the middle, and either side are the shaman riding horses towards the temple. And the upper realm is often in this upper band in these masks. So the middle is sometimes the middle world, so the world of the senses, the eyes and the ears and the nose. The more lower sensory stuff of the taste is in the lower world. So you often have nagas and scorpions and things in this bottom piece, and this is the middle world and the upper world. So the horses are riding, the shaman are riding through the spirit world, and they're surrounded by tridents, so trishals representing Shiva and also representing time, so past, present and future. They're riding through the past, present and future into the other worlds. So if they're wearing a mask like this, they're using the mask as a way of transporting themselves from one type of state of being into another. And one way to think of the masks is the masks are like an image of the inner face. They're the inner representation of the archetypes through which the shaman is channeling themselves like a vehicle. So the shaman is literally giving themselves to the gift of their shamanism, the gift of their spiritual powers, the gift of nature, and allowing themselves to become a conduit through which all sorts of energies can act. So my friend and teacher Mohan described shaman as gatekeepers. So they're standing at the thresholds between different worlds, which is also why Ganesh is often depicted on the Ferber and on the drums and other objects as the first teacher. So you can see here, you have a composite. You see the trunk of Ganesh here, but that's also turned into the eyes of a Mashan. So a Mashan is a very powerful spirit. And then the body of the shaman, so you see his arms are now wrapped around, and the arm of the shaman is also the trunk of Ganesh, and the head up above. And then these other implements are Garuda beak and a tree and a knot. You see these other Vajra. So you've got this multi-layered symbolism. You've got the Naga for the Kundalini, and then a trident and a bamba, or like a water vessel, and a snake again at the bottom. So at the top here, you can see you've got the shaman in prayer, riding on his spirit horse. These are very, very rare type and very beautiful type of Ferber from the Trishuli area, near a big river in over towards Sindhupajak, isn't it? Trishuli. And yeah, so the shaman is riding, and these ribbons represent the rainbow, so a bridge again from one world to another. And you see across his back you've got the bells, which are used for protection as part of the spiritual armour, but also for calling the spirits and for calling the ancestors and for helping to go into trance. And then on the horse as well you've got the sun and a moon, which are also represented on the Nepali flag. So you've got this idea of time and passing through from one world to another, and similar symbolism on this other wonderful Ferber with multiple malas, a moon, on the other side a sun with a crescent moon below, and the malas making up the body of the shaman, and then a snake almost like a big long penis and the legs coming down the side, really extraordinary. And then these massive big fanged naga, like snake gods, but with the spiral representing the trunk of Ganesh again. So and then the prayer. So that really shows you something. You see they're running into they're praying while travelling. So it's not like riding in the normal sense. It's a spiritual journey where they're travelling from the heart or from the third eye or from the diaphragm. So there are practices where you can expand your energy body. There are Qigong practices actually that I learned to do this, and then later found working with some Siberian shaman that was also how they travel. So my practice had been to listen to my heartbeat and to listen to the pauses between the heartbeat, so that I became very present. And my Tai Chi and Qigong training taught me to experience those pauses between the beats like holidays, and to literally and with the old-fashioned version of holiday like holy day. So you're taking that space as a way to bring your consciousness in, and a way to make an active choice about how you're going to be in that moment. And so even if you've got terrible, difficult things happening, every moment you have a choice to be, and the next moment you have a choice to be, and the next moment you have a choice to be. So it gives you enormous emotional control and energetic control. It's a horrible question when someone says, how do you choose to be? And you've just had some horrible thing happen to you, and you're like really angry or really upset or whatever that emotion is. It's very easy to be dragged into an emotion, and for that to then maintain itself, to fuel itself into something more and more. But being able to take that pause allows you to have the emotional presentness to choose what you want to do, to choose how you want to be. And the same in the shamanic path. you need to have a certain amount of equanimity and presentness to be able to choose how you flow with the energies that are present, or how you deal with the situation. You need to be engaged, but you also don't want to be swept up in it, because sometimes you're dealing with someone's extreme trauma, or maybe they're possessed by some sort of energy, and if you need to have enough connection to be able to affect them, but you also don't want it to cling on to you. And so the balance is being able to be present but empty, so it just flows through you, it passes through you, so you experience the pain with the person, but you're not holding on to it, you're not suffering it. And so the horse symbolism comes into this because the horse is that an image of sort of decision and of travelling and of journeying, a little bit like the bow and arrow as a symbol for holding a type of tension and control and release. The horse also you need to be able to let it free and relax, but also you need to be able to control the wild force. You need to be able to stay on. And so you get the symbolism these are Mugger Shaman bronzes, and there's a whole variety of them riding, and quite often with a sort of sexual element as well. And the sexual element is important because fundamentally shamanism has a type of tantric aspect to it, in the sense that you could say that Tantra is a type of extreme presentness and engagement with the sensory reality in a way that also transcends the sensory reality. So you're using your active engagement, you're using your active presentness, you're using your body as a vehicle, you're using the reality of your experiences, your engagement with nature, your sensory feeling of the rocks and the stones and the mountains and the trees, to fully bring yourself into that connection, and through that you transcend it. So you're not sort of separating yourself off and rising above it. You're transcending through the experience, fully recognizing the body. So you can see you've got these situations again where the shaman's riding the horse and he's in prayer, he's wearing his kukri, so he's going into action, he's armed, sometimes there. So you've got another shaman here with his janai going across, his mala beads, controlling the horse, riding the horse, with a penis sticking out. Another one here where he's holding his knife, he's riding, he's wearing his shaman crown, and another one with his gun over his shoulder, still wearing his hat, his feather headdress, and the horse with the penis again. These are all Mugger shaman, and the sense of physical journeying is very important for the Mugger, because a large part of the Mugger are tribal and semi-nomadic. So traditionally they would travel from Tibet across Nepal into India and then back again, bringing silk and salt and other things, and then coming back with metals and also selling their animals, travelling with big herds. So you see the mala beads again, the crown, in prayer. Another one with a big knife. Another one here with a knife and a little hat. Another one with a gun over his shoulder. So very much that sense of travelling, of journeying, of empowerment, here with some sort of stick. And also with this is one of my favourites. It's really extraordinary, very abstract. It's lost a leg, unfortunately. But this is extraordinary, very sculptural. Amazing with the bells on the front of the horse. Really, truly wonderful. And then sometimes you have other things as vehicles as well. You have elephants or tigers. Here's also Mugger shaman, right with his malas riding an elephant, and he's got the elephant goad on the head. So they have a big stick with a sort of hook to nudge the elephant along. And then here is this piece is carved out of crystal. It's enormously heavy, with the shaman riding his horse. This also Mugger shaman. And so on here you can see there's a horse, a shaman with a bow and arrow riding his horse. This is a shamanic shrine. So it's like an altar piece, an altar platform, where you'd have bamboo and other objects, and you've got suns on both sides, a Vajra and bell. So the bell is the feminine, and then the Vajra is the masculine, and it's like a thunderbolt. So it's a symbol for eternity and for unlimited energy. And then the clapper is the masculine, and the empty space inside the bell is the feminine. And so you're sending the activated energy out into the world. These are the two primary tools in Vajrayana Buddhism as well. And then here you've got the trident at the back of the shaman. Quite often you have tridents on the shoulders of the shaman in these Mugger bronzes. And the bow and arrow, again, is like holding that tension in the same way as the tension of being relaxed while riding the horse and focused, aiming somewhere. So that quality of having an aim, having a focus, and holding the tension and releasing, because you don't reach your goal by holding the tension perpetually. I once had a business disaster where I was preparing, and the situations kept on changing, and I was making all these terrible cash flow forecasts. And the lesson from it was that you get what you focus on. What I got was more cash flow forecasts. What I got was more projected earnings. And what I needed to do was work out the basics and then just go. I needed to act and see what happened and then respond from that. And later that's what I did. And that was actually the foundation of this business like 25 years ago. And my collecting had happened a long time before that, but it's as with all sort of passions, you have to find a way. If you're really collecting, unless you've got enormous amounts of money, you have to find a way to make it fund itself. So my primary interest is in using the things and in learning from them and practicing, but I've turned this expertise into a business because it has to sustain itself. So that quality of aiming and releasing, holding the tension and releasing, is very, very important. It's like a fundamental principle in creativity and in life, but also in shamanism. So you can see the symbolism is repeated again and again. The shaman in prayer on top of the horse. So in terms of this is a very old and very warm, quite abstracted verba, but the bottom part is the lower world, the middle part is the middle world, the upper part is the upper world. So you usually have, I'll find one with a bit more symbolism on it. So you've got nagas, so snake gods like the Kundalini coming up and the crossing over like the chakras. Sometimes makaras or nagas here This one's got different suns and moons, so time. So this is also representing past, present and future. And then the middle section is usually a Vajra, like a thunderbolt, and sometimes with a never-ending knot in the middle. This one is very abstracted and very simplified, but that represents limitless energy and time. And then you have the top have got gods. So sometimes sometimes Hindu gods, sometimes Buddhist gods, but always another layer of gods of rivers and mountains and forests. And then you see a really rather cute little horse on the top here with the vehicle. This is transcended even above the gods, is the projected thought, the projected journey, the vehicle for the action. So the Ferber is used in many different ways. It's used as a sort of symbolic knife for cutting away stuff, for pinning stuff down, for destroying negative energy. It's also used as a way to protect the shaman. So some shaman wear the Ferber in a little pouch over their heart. And I've even had shamans tell me that without the Ferber they don't have any soul, or they don't have any spirit of their own. And what they meant was that they're so identified with their Ferber that the Ferber is like a guardian for their spirit. And I have a Ferber that I carry around everywhere, and I treat like a bodyguard, particularly if I'm going into situations that are difficult. I carry it in my camera bag or in one of my pockets. And so you can also send the Ferber with your consciousness to go and find stuff. So because you're so identified with it, it will carry the message for you or retrieve the message and come back. So you see you've got the horse here, and again you've got Ganesh as the first shaman, the Naga here on the bottom, the Trident of Shiva, the Vajra or Thunderbolt, the gods, and again a horse at the top. And even here, this mugger bell, very crudely cast because it's made out of wax originally, and then they pour in the metal and it burns the wax away. But you see again the horse and the figure here on the top. Used for going into a trance, used for activating the offerings in a ritual. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. Do subscribe and do write comments and let me know what you're thinking, and let me know anything that you'd like me to make videos about. This is part of a much larger series on shamanic ritual objects and on some of the wider symbolism in ritual use in Nepal. So I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.